From having a weapon wheel that looks like this, to missing out on free money with your businesses. There are a bunch of ways that you might be playing GTA Online wrong, so in this video, I'll be going through many of the mistakes that most beginners are still making, so that you can become a better and more advanced player. Starting with not buying supplies for your businesses. This is a huge mistake I see almost every beginner make. If you are running your businesses for the first time when starting out, and you are not buying supplies, you're playing the game wrong. For most beginners, stealing supplies seems like the better option, as you would of course be making a much higher profit. And while this is true, in GTA Online, time is money. Buying supplies will always be the much better option for any business you have, rather than stealing them. For the biker businesses and the bunker, buying a full batch will cost $75,000, whereas for the acid lab, this will cost $60,000. And on the surface, this may seem expensive, and for beginners, it definitely can be, but stealing supplies is a guaranteed waste of your time that you could otherwise be using to make your money back on whatever you spent resupplying your businesses. And in the meantime, your supplies will be producing stock for you. Depending on the businesses that you have, a full bar of supplies will take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to run out. During that time, you could have been making much more money, such as completing the bunker ammunition contract, which will give you a huge chunk of your cost back, or even doing the daily activities such as time trials. You're going to be making a return on whatever you spent while your businesses are producing money for you. Whereas stealing supplies could see you spending 30 to 40 minutes completing the steal missions just to get a full bar of supplies. This is not necessary. But the main problem for beginners and why they steal supplies in the first place is because they don't have enough money. However, you don't even need to be buying supplies in 2024. There's a free way to get full supplies for any of your businesses, and that's by simply raiding the daily stash houses. It can take 2 minutes and is completely free, and in return you get a full batch of supplies that can begin producing while you're playing the game. Do not ignore these stash houses as a beginner. It's so much easier than stealing supplies and even buying them. If your weapon wheel looks like this, you are doing it all wrong. I know you're sick of having a clogged weapon wheel, where you constantly need to skim through the dozens of weapons that you have just to find the one that you want. And this can be life or death as a beginner. Whether you're in a mission or any combat that you encounter, having to scroll through several weapons just to get to the one that you want is a huge waste of time and will likely get you killed, which is why you need to own a gun locker. You can purchase a gun locker from any of the following properties. Heading over to any of the following properties and using the gun locker allows you to create a custom loadout. This means you can display any weapons that you like, which also means you can hide any weapons that you rarely ever use. That way, your weapon wheel will no longer be clogged with a bunch of useless weapons that you hardly ever need. Therefore, you will have the best weapon loadout dedicated for your playstyle, which can give you a massive advantage against other players or during missions, as you will now have very easy access to the weapons that you actually want, which means no more messy weapon wheels. You need to stop picking fights with players for no reason, especially as a beginner. This is GTA Online after all. One of the main things that you likely want to do when starting out is fight other players, and we've all done this ourselves, but it never ends well. You see, half the players that you pick fights with will actually fight you back, and they won't give up. But here's the thing, most of these players are much more highly skilled than you and have much better things within the game to use against you, such as better and more overpowered weaponized vehicles, which will make your life a living hell. And overall, they know more about the game than you, which is exactly why you shouldn't pick random fights with random players. And this is a mistake not just beginners make, but even veteran players. They underestimate their enemy, and before you even know it, you'll be fighting the same player who is using some dodgy tactics, and they are already up 20 kills against you. I know it may seem tempting at first to pick fights against players, but sometimes it's just not worth it. One of the worst mistakes I see new players making is not taking advantage of the free ways to make money that Rockstar Games literally gives anyone access to. These are the money makers that do not require any upfront cost. There's no business needed, there's no vehicles, there's literally no paywalls, and you can make millions as a beginner without spending anything. The free money makers I'm talking about are the treasure hunts, the Clucking Bell farm raid, and the first dose missions, which are some of the best ways to make money as a a low level. So if you're starting out with barely any cash and you don't know what you're doing, then you must complete these activities that are easily available to you. If not, you're missing out on free money. There are 3 different treasure hunts available to all players in the game. There's the double action revolver hunt, which can make you $250,000. Then there's the navy revolver hunt, which again makes you $250,000. And finally there's the stone hatchet bounty hunt, which also makes you $250,000. That's $750,000 already just for completing some simple treasure hunts, which can take any player roughly 2 hours to do. Like I mentioned above, there's the Cluckenbell farm heist, which is definitely the best moneymaker that any player can do. No business required, nothing. Just simply start up the heist and begin making $500,000, which can usually take 1 hour to complete. If you are not taking advantage of these moneymakers, then you need to start doing so, because if you're a low level and you're low on money, there's nothing better in the game than these, except for heists. However, almost all beginners do not know what they are doing when it comes to heists, because they are usually doing the wrong ones, or most of the time playing them with randoms. This is a massive mistake beginners make. Although it may seem tempting to join a heist invite from somebody, half the time it's not going to go as expected. You could be wasting hours of valuable time and getting nowhere. Trust me, when starting out, playing heists with randoms is a nightmare. Most beginners will stalk the quick join waiting for a heist invite, but the chances of you actually loading into a heist with a set of skilled players are extremely rare, because guess what? Every other beginner is also doing that. So you're going to join with a group of beginners. I also see most players joining the wrong heists, such as Doomsday or the apartment heists, but these are some of the worst heists you can complete as a beginner, especially with a group of randoms. The only heist you could get away with joining is the Cayo Perico heist or the casino heist, which are the best paying ones, and they do not require a full squad. Either way, playing heists with randoms in 2024 is not a good idea. Instead, you should be completing the Cluckenbell heist, like we mentioned, which will allow you to gradually build up enough money to be able to buy the casaca and start making money on your own. That way you'll save some time and sanity. While we're on the topic of making money, one of the biggest mistakes players make is wasting their money. And you may be thinking, the whole point of making money is to spend it, and you're correct. However, most players spend it on the wrong things. Look, at the end of the day, it is your money. You can do with it as you please, but as a beginner, you're more likely to be wasting your money on useless items instead of investing into new businesses or vehicles that can help you make even more money. Beginners will see something and spend their money, whether that's clothing, vehicles, or apartments. These are all useless as a beginner. Instead, you want to be spending your money wisely, such as investing into businesses that can make you money passively, whether that's the bunker or the acid lab. This way, you are actually putting your money to good use instead of wasting it. Doing this allows you to earn way more money in the long run that you can actually afford to waste on luxury items like vehicles and clothing, as it is the whole point of the game. Once you earn the money, you can spend it however you like. Just make sure to invest wisely as a beginner, because it's going to be worth it in the long run. And speaking of buying businesses, most players buy the wrong businesses. There are so many options to choose from when it comes to making money in GTA Online, and this can definitely be overwhelming for new players. However, if you're going to spend your money on businesses, you need to make sure it's the right ones, because if a business is barely going to make a return on your money, then there is no point in buying it. I see so many players jumping into the game and saving up millions just to buy an office and then have nowhere near enough to buy a warehouse to start actually making money. So you're just left with a hole in your wallet. You need to think about what you're buying before you buy it. The same thing goes with the MC businesses. You save up all that money just to buy the worst ones. And I'm guilty of this as well. As a beginner, I bought the weed farm and the document forgery office, and that was the biggest mistake I made because I wasted all my money and barely got any of it back. You want to be buying passive income businesses that are actually going to be worth it and actually give you a decent pay per hour, such as the bunker and the acid lab. All you have to do is buy the supplies and then sell it when it is ready. Easy money. However, some people think this is the case for the nightclub, and they end up buying one way too early in the game. To put it short and simple, if you want to make money with the nightclub, you need to own a lot of other businesses in the game, which can see you spending tens of millions of dollars, which you do not have. So do not buy the nightclub until later down the line when you actually have enough money saved up from all of the businesses that you've been running. Which leads me to the next beginner mistake, and that is not taking advantage of weekly updates. If you don't already know, every Thursday in GTA Online there are weekly discounts and bonuses which can make you more money as well as save you money. Each week there can be different vehicles and properties on discount which save hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars, which is something every player should take advantage of, especially beginners. Not only that, but there's weekly events that have game modes on double or triple money, which is massive for those starting out. If you use these weekly updates to your advantage, you can make a lot of money while also having fun. Do not make the common mistake of ignoring the triple and double money events. If you don't know what's happening during the week of GTA Online, search across YouTube to find out what the bonuses are, as this could help you out massively. Something else that helps you out massively is invite-only lobbies. I see a massive complaint with new players about griefers and tryhards ruining their experience, and this is a massive problem for beginners. If you're a low level, like we mentioned earlier, if you don't attack first, you're likely going to be attacked anyway. It's just how GTA Online works. However, it doesn't always have to be this way. You can do almost every activity in the game within invite-only sessions. This includes businesses, heist setups, and many other things that otherwise would be a huge problem with public sessions. And I know what you're thinking, the whole point of online is it's online. You have to play with other players to have fun. But if you're someone who is constantly being attacked and annoyed by other players, then invite-only sessions are going to be your best friend. The only real problem is not receiving any high demand bonuses during sell missions. But if that means you avoid getting your cargo griefed, then it's totally worth it in my opinion. And that leads me to the final and honestly one of the biggest mistakes most beginners make, and that is not playing through the story mode and instead jumping straight into online. When you first start out, all you want to do is hop into online and begin playing. But trust me, this is a huge mistake. When you're new to the game, it's going to be very overwhelming. The mechanics will be something you're probably not used to, and you will struggle a lot, but not if you played through the story first. You don't actually have to complete the story, by the way, just play through the first few missions and get an overall feel for the game. Because if you're playing GTA 5 in 2024 and you haven't yet played the story mode, you're seriously doing something wrong. The story mode is like a training ground for online. Once you play it for the first time, you're going to gather enough necessary skills to at least survive in online. Because after all, they are totally different games in their own way, but you'll have a much better advantage over other players that decided to just jump straight into online without actually playing the story. And do you know what else will give you a huge advantage in GTA Online? Clicking that subscribe button and checking out more guides that are on screen now. And with all that being said, I will see you all in the next one.